Good morning, humanity. It is January 22, 2023, and it's the favorite time of our week because it's Mondays with Bev and Paul. And hi, everybody, my name's Paul.
Good morning and welcome to 2024, Paul.
All right.
Happy New Year.
2022,
I
23,
know.
24. What the hell? Welcome to
Uh,
your favorite time of the week, whatever the date is, because it's
oh, hi, I'm Bev.
Monday. We know it's Monday. And you're with
It's
Bev and
Monday.
Paul, and that's all that matters. We're in the present moment here now, and we're going to share with you a little biotouch and what we call the undoing process. But first, we want to thank all of our practitioners in our last virtual training. That was
Oh,
an awesome class.
it was
I
wonderful.
mean, we have some folks didn't want their photo. We respect it. We had people from New York, we had people from Florida, Texas, California, and Arizona. We just went all over the country this
That,
time, didn't we?
that was wonderful. I know.
And all of them except one person came because of the interview with Deborah Schildhouse, who just wrote her book, Communicating with Angels. And she talked the first few minutes about BioTouch, and all these people just wanted to learn about BioTouch. So
Yeah.
there they were. So
And thank you, Deborah.
yeah, we're looking to get our own little interview on there because there was so much interest
Oh, yeah,
with that process. So
definitely.
hopefully they're all out there practicing. I know they were excited. Everybody gets excited. The hardest thing, though, that we've learned over all these decades is to keep doing it.
Consistency.
Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about the undoing process, and it came up because Bev was working with a 90-year-old recipient. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It was uh it was wonderful for both of us actually. She has been dealing with something that we're working with, BioTouch, and she was, had some concerns. It seems to be now a little bit on this other side, and I'm feeling better, but da 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 da. And I just took the opportunity and I said, there's something called the undoing process that the body really must go through. And what it requires from us, the participant in this healing process, is patience and understanding that when you are facing an issue, a condition, whatever you want to call it, a healing crisis, it took some time to get the body to that point where we recognize it as, oh, something is out of balance, something is going on. When you introduce biotouch very gently to the body, we have to remember the body is the healer. We're giving the body something that it knows how to use, right? And when it starts to do that, it's going to first, the thing it wants to do is bring itself back into balance, into a wholeness. Well, that process of connecting itself is uncomfortable sometimes.
Right.
I mean, it just makes sense. You
Right.
can't just go from crazy, oh my God, into, oh, I feel like perfect again. No, it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why biotouch is so incredibly important in that healing process. It
Right.
stimulates the body. Yes.
It's like we say to people, we don't slap you on the forehead and you fall
Right.
over and you pop up, go, I'm
Right.
healed.
Right.
We leave that stuff for
Nope.
TV. So,
Yep.
yeah, and so it is that undoing process. And I like what you talked about. It's the idea of, we're not really, and we even say it in our manual, we're not teaching you how to do something. We're
Yeah.
teaching you how to touch a certain set of points and let the body unfold itself and let the awareness of the own recipient decide what course of action they need to take in that unfolding process. Uh,
That's a very profound, really in many ways new thought. And this is one of the challenges I think we have with biotouch because people don't think about their bodies as
right.
the way that biotouch is presented. it's going to take a whole nother way of looking at our bodies and participating in that self-awareness that it encourages. So we're having to undo some old programming, right?
Right.
And yeah, come face to face with our body and start participating and not be on the outside of it looking on like we have no choices.
Right, and I think that's the key of why in our trainings we don't recommend, we don't diagnose, we let
Right.
you and your body and whatever it is that does this healing work. You know, people always say, well, why does it work? Well, I don't know why it works,
Yeah,
but I can
that's
tell
not
you
our
all the things that happen when you do get biotouch.
right.
And I think what's important in this undoing process, you know, we can look at my bio. It's in the book. It's my little story. When I
Yep.
went in to see Norman that first time, I'd had this back pain, and the pain went down my leg, and I had it for over a year. And finally, the whole town said, well, you ought to try this guy, and went and did it, and we started working with it. After 2 sessions, the pain was gone, okay, after a year. But then I
The
went through
fun started.
months, I mean, months and months and months of
Yeah.
just what I call discomfort. You
Yeah.
know, it
Right.
because what was happening, my body was realigning itself. And I get worked on twice a week, and the body just kept adjusting itself to the point where I remember one day standing up, and I was a little taller. It had, you know, and it was
Wow.
sort of a little dizziness, but
Yeah, right.
muscles were being pulled, spines were manipulating itself,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so and Norman would always just laugh when I'd come in. When I'd
I
say, "Oh
know.
my God, it's killing me," and he'd go,
Well,
and
you kind of do that too.
and
You're
I've
like,
done that with
yay.
people, right? I remember this one little old lady I was working with, and she couldn't stand straight up on a wall, right? She was very high, tall, tall woman, but she couldn't stand straight and had a little cane, and and she would come in with a lot of pain after she'd get worked on, and I would,
Oh yeah.
oh, that's just great, you know, we'd hug and all that
Yay.
stuff, and she kept coming, and sure enough, after quite a few months, she was able to stand straight onto the wall, and her whole back could touch the wall.
Wow.
One time, a person came in, and the other recipient was in pain, and this woman happened to be there, and she goes, "Oh, Paul just loves it when you're in pain. He just sits there and laughs and
Oh, great.
enjoys it." So
Oh yeah, that's how we want to sell it, right?
right,
Well, you know what? That's a good point because here's what has happened. We're just this quick fix mentality,
right,
okay? And we've all experienced working with recipients who begin in a crisis, okay? Who begin to get better and then we never see them again. And it's what happens is, that undoing process is causing them discomfort. Well, this is not working. But if we cultivate the ability to be tolerant and patient, and this realization is why we're having this show today, realize that it's going to take the body some time in its own time to, realign itself,
right.
bring itself back into wholeness. We're not So these people are not willing. We have to be willing to stay the course and to what? Feel safe and trust our bodies. That's something that we have not been shown, not been told, not, we don't have that.
That's a
And
key.
so,
That's a key, trust. And I just was
yeah,
watching Anita Morjani again, and she said, you know, the key when you're going through healing process, just be quiet for a moment. Ask yourself whatever direction you think that you want to go, and then listen. Does that feel good? Does it feel
yeah,
good to you? Not what the doctor told you, not what the biotouch practitioner told you. You know, does it feel good to you? I mean, when I've worked with this other guy once, I'd work with him. His back would go through all these conniptions and pain for 2 days, 2 or 3 days. Then it would start to calm down. Then he'd come back in. He'd get worked on twice a week. And then finally he said to me, Paul, man, I go through hell for a few days. And I said, well, you know, we don't have to. That's what your body is willing to do.
Right.
But we can have it slow down by working with
Doing
you once a week. And so he just stopped for a moment and he said, "Yeah, let's try that," because he had too many things to do that he
right.
couldn't handle the discomfort. He owned a ranch, he had to, do the cattle. So he did once a week. And he'd have 2 or 3 days of a little discomfort, and then he'd have 3 or 4 days of it calming down. He wasn't willing to just keep stirring the pot up. I think that's what it does. Is it stirs the pot up.
Stirs the pot. And we got to, but Paul, that's that self-awareness.
Right.
In that self-awareness, you were able to say, well, we can do this. And he was like, oh, yeah, let's do that. This is what, in our vision statement, we talk about taking responsibility for our own health care,
Right.
making those choices.
And so
Yep.
what we find, and we'll just sort of show this with you. We have a class with this called Crisis in Healing and Opportunity. Because
Yeah.
everything we
Slash
right,
opportunity.
because everything that we call a crisis, and we always
Mhm.
ask people, what is your crisis, one crisis in your life, and how do you deal with it? And I always say, well, when I have a crisis, I go, damn, with
I
even more
know.
profound words.
Meltdown.
That's how I deal with a crisis. But
Right.
anyhow, so here's what happens: people come in and they're at this pain level, all right,
Mhm.
and we work with them, and their pain goes way down, okay. Um, and so then what happens a few weeks later, a month or so maybe, all of a sudden a change happens in their body,
Yeah.
and they get a new pain or an old pain that they hadn't had in a long time, and all of a sudden their pain level boop goes way up again. Now, in relation to where it was before, it's not as high.
Not it. You're right.
You know,
Right.
it's a little less, but we compare it to how good we felt. See, when we first came in, we were in pain and then we had relief. Then we get pain again, but we're relating that new pain with how good we felt. So it's the staircase.
Yeah.
We get better, then we sort of, what we say, have a little crisis, and then we get a little better again, and that better goes higher than the last better. And
Right.
and that's what we see happens in this undoing
And
process.
I was going to say that's the thing right there. That's why we're talking about this, because if you're not willing to, be present as the body goes through its process of healing, then you're gonna just kind of you're in the way. And that's what happens in many cases that I've seen. Exactly what you said. Oh my gosh, the pain, I felt total relief. And then a couple days later, something came back, but it was not as the pain level was not what it was in the beginning. It was less. And
Right.
I said, because
That's the
the
point,
body,
right?
hello. Yeah.
So, that's what we try to help people understand. And another part of that undoing process that happens many, many times, people feel great. They haven't felt that
Mm.
good in years. And they go out and they do something they haven't done in years. Maybe go on a trip they haven't done. Had that happen
Right.
recently. Go on a
Right.
trip. They're feeling great. They go out on this trip. Well, what happens quite often is you overexert, and the
Yes.
body goes back into a state of distress, of stress,
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
locks up again. And then they don't continue. It's like, oh, it's not working. I'm
Oh,
back
it
to
did.
stage one. But we forget. We forget. Oh my gosh, I felt so vibrant for a month there, and
Something happened, folks.
yeah, right.
Something happened to make you feel that
Yes.
good.
So our brain. We've just been so brainwashed to believe that
Yep.
in certain ways, and BioTouch helps us think differently, think outside the box.
There's the challenge. As
Yes.
I was saying, there's it. Unless we begin to change the way we think about our bodies, we're not going to be willing to stay the course
Yeah.
and to be participants in that healing process. What did I say to uh oh, the green goo? What was her name when we had her
Right.
on the
Right. Right. I can't remember her
presentation?
name. Our
Yeah,
green goo.
anyway, I said, healing can be fun.
Right.
And she says, "Oh, I'm gonna write that down."
Right.
She says, "It can be, because guess what? We're not victims. BioTouch helps us not to be a victim in this. It helps us to be a participant, to really step in and make, oh my gosh, take charge. We can do that.
And so the other part that we always make sure is that you're working with your healthcare practitioner, because we've
Yes.
had situations, as I'll give you an example now. A woman I worked with, elderly woman, she had COPD, yeah, quite a few years of her life, and we would work on her lungs all the time. And for her next appointment, she didn't show up. Well, I found out she was actually in the hospital, had to go in for emergency care. And it turns out what had happened was all that work on her lungs had released a lot of that fluid that had just sort of gunked in there. And
Yeah.
she couldn't expel it. She didn't have enough strength. So
Right.
she immediately called 911. They took her in the hospital, used the syringe to get out the fluid. And here's the whole thing. The whole time she was in the hospital, she kept saying, I can't wait to get back to Paul. I can't wait to get back to BioTouch. I can't wait to get back, you know. And when she came in, she knew that BioTouch had
She knew.
actually triggered that. And
Oh,
because we'd never made her fear or be anti medical system, she was able to immediately get the care she needed
right.
and then come back, and we worked on the next phase of her healing. I mean,
Perfect
it was
scenario.
perfect scenario. So,
Yeah.
just work with what you've got and work with your
Yeah.
medical care practitioners. And, if you're on medication, if you're going for an operation, this is not about, there's no,
Throwing away everything and
yeah,
just,
if you
yeah,
get a
no,
vaccine or don't get a vaccine, if you get the cancer operation or the radiation or you just do what you got to do, because
do what you got to do.
really we're much more than these bodies.
We certainly are.
And so, what we do with this body, you do the best you can. BioTouch is just an option to help you wake up to that body, that you're
Right.
living in it. There are other options you can do, and we're just here to help you in your journey to do your healing. That's it. You know,
That's it.
that's why we come here every week and talk about it. So
I
let us
know.
know how we can help you. We're here. You go to the website justtouch.com, download just even the greeting, the first set of points. We always do. Doesn't cost you a penny. Just doing that greeting starts a healing process. We do have other ways to learn it. We do have a workshop coming up. That's this week. Oh yeah, this week,
Yeah.
the 25th. We're going to do a rerun of a live stream with Steve Liu, who's an acupuncturist here in Tucson. We're going to talk about prostate cancer and other prostate conditions, because
Right.
you do the same set of points. Doesn't matter what the prostate condition is.
Exactly.
So that's going to be this Thursday, 6
Thursday.
p.m. live. You can ask us questions. We'll teach you a set of points. And then, of course, we'll always have the replay that you can download. Our next training, that's going to be live, in person, with Eileen here at the Tucson Center, February 17th and 18th. Remember, you can get 10 CE credits for that. And otherwise, contact us in an email. We'll work with you. I've got numerous emails in the past months here of people having specific problems or don't understand where they can get what on the website. There's a lot of information on that website. You could spend hours getting testimonials, getting ways to learn different techniques. And then again, join us every Monday for the beautiful Bev and handsome Paul.
Ooh, what can you lose with that one? Be in our presence for 20 minutes.
Yeah, there you go. It doesn't get any better than that. So anyhow, let us know how we can help you. We're here all the time, and we just love ending our show always playing the wonderful song of Horace Barnes. So until next week, thank you
Next
all.
week.
Take
Thank you,
care.
everyone.
If pain has got you down and you live in town, take a trip down to Pima Street. The people down there are people who care. They will get you back on your feet. Put love into action. Put love into action. If you ever want to have any real satisfaction, choose love while you still can. Don't even try to understand. A healing grace in your own hands. Put love into action. I know you have heard these beautiful words. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Using BioTouch will help you so much. You'll never need anything else. Put love into action. Put love into action. If you ever want to have any real satisfaction, choose love while you still can. Don't even try to understand the healing grace in your own hands. Put love into action.